of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm, and as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in and making GPS a part of your afternoon routine. So today my guests and I are going to be talking about new developments within the economy and obviously the political landscape and how that translates as it relates to our nation's economy. Questions are being raised concerning the viability of digital entrepreneurship, crowdfunding, and tokenization, following what appears to be the possible closure of the only Bahamian crowdfunding platform in the country, Arawak X. So how will this impact the economy in light of the new agenda in Parliament and the very necessary shift now in the Grand Bahama political landscape? That's what we're going to be talking about on the show today. The telephone numbers to call, 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. The WhatsApp line for messages and calls is 8010271. That's 242-8010271. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. Also streaming live to our YouTube channels and on Cable Bahamas channel 974. You can also download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and check us out there. And of course, there's radio 99.5 on the FM dial here in New Providence. Huge welcome to all of you tuned in here in New Providence. Those of you tuned in from Grand Bahama, around the family islands, and a huge welcome to all of you who are tuned in from outside the country. So my guest today is C. Allen Johnson. And C. Allen, welcome to the show.
Thank you once again.
Now, you know, C. Allen is based in Grand Bahama and very much has his finger on the pulse about what is happening on that island, which once again is very much the center of attention, C. Allen.
Yeah, we should be every day, but I'm sorry for a tragic moment that they now look towards us when they should be looking for us more for rebirth as opposed to a death.
Yeah. So we heard about this situation with Arawak X. I think it was last week when that information emerged about the possible shutdown of Arawak X, which caught a lot of people off guard because from the outside looking in, it appeared to be that this was a wonderful thing for the economy of the Bahamas, the ability to empower the everyday Bahamian. For those of you who don't know, Arawak X is a crowdfunding platform where ordinary Bahamians can go and purchase part ownership shares and various companies that made themselves available through the platform. Um, and this was a means by which these companies were able to raise funds to further advance and develop their businesses. It's called crowdfunding. And a lot of people were very, very excited over the prospect of having a viable crowdfunding source here in the Bahamas, platform here in the Bahamas, by which the ordinary man and woman could become co owners of various businesses. And then this news came out about crowdfunding, Arawak X platform, being under investigation uh, with a view to the relevant authorities shutting it down. And a lot of people were up in arms over this. They're like, wait, what? And a lot of people are already skittish concerning anything to do with digitization, tokenization, crowdfunding, that kind of thing, because of the whole FTX saga. And so when this news came out, it raised a lot of eyebrows. What, from where you sit, Yalan, did you understand has happened here? And how is that going to impact our economy going forward when Bahamians are already wary about embracing these new technologies? What are your thoughts about what happened with Arawak X?
Well, I'm disappointed in what is happening with Arawak X, because I expected Arawak X being the first entrant into the digital, we call it digital assets marketplace, localized, and offering crowdfunding. Now, I'm going to come back later to explain the significant difference between the tokenization that happens, the digital assets with FTX, fractionalization, crowdfunding, etc. But what happens is that Arawak X was a crowdfunding platform, and you touched on it, where essentially the our BISX is a formal means of raising capital that you have to meet certain minimum benchmarks to enter BizX. You could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars preparing to go public to raise money for your company. What crowdfunding is like a lowering of the benchmark for individuals trying to raise less than $5 million. So the requirements are less stringent in regards to how you enter the marketplace. And essentially what you could do is you could make offering to what they call the crowd, the public, to be able to buy pieces of your company and share in the revenues for what happens. What happens now is that AWAC X is taking a hit from the Securities Commission of the Bahamas, or Bahamas Securities Commission, whatever it's pronounced. They're now taking a hit because there are some implications or accusations of improprieties that has happened, commingling of funds, and just basically not following the rules that was set up for them to abide by. What that does is, because the Bahamian people may not fully understand our X, in essence, is like having multiple exchanges, and it doesn't necessarily impact another entrance into the market once the rules are followed. I'll put to you that the Securities Commission of the Bahamas is doing the rare fact that the Securities Commission of the Bahamas stepped in, and I'll talk later on how it may be necessary for them to step in sooner using technology, but it shows that they have functioned how they're supposed to be in that respect, that they're supposed to watch these platforms, make sure that investors' monies are safe, make sure that rules are being followed, to make, just for the small investor. With crowdfunding, that it allows smaller, non-accredited investors to enter the marketplace. To be an accredited investor, you must have $1 million in assets, and I think that's liquid assets, or earn $250,000 a year for 2 or 3 years in a row, and that's for husband and wife combination. And so, if you don't meet those requirements, you're not an accredited investor. So it's a small investor. I want to raise $100,000. I can find 100 people to give me $1,000, 20 people to give me $500, or 1,000 people to give me $100. So it gives a whole new dimension, and their shares and their assets be protected. Currently, only the equity is regulated in the Bahamas, and eventually, I guess we will move towards where you could do crowdfunding. And let's say I started a bicycle shop, a brand new concept in bicycles or skateboard or whatever. Individuals could invest in my company for receiving one of those items at a discount or set whatever for supporting the development and of it. But the start where we had equity, and you had gyro, tropical gyro, you had the foot care, you had Dr. Daniel Johnson, and you had the funding of the Red Lobster with the company that was headed by Mr. Chris Mortimer, who's now deceased. Those were successful funding. The concerns now was the Security Commission stepped in based on the allegations made to make sure they're following the rules, and they now have the ability to protect whatever assets has been pledged. Let me explain to you exactly what happens when you go to a platform such as RWACX, a crowdfunding platform. They act as the intermediary between the investor and the crowd, the people who want to invest. There's two basic models that is generally, I guess, would be accepted in the Bahamas: all or nothing, or a fraction. All or nothing means if I go to the platform and I want to raise $100,000, I would set in my rules for raising this $100,000 that if I don't raise the $100,000, anyone who would have invested or put down their deposits would get 100% refund of their money. A fractional or partial investment where I say I'm trying to raise $100,000, and if I hit a threshold of 70,000 or more, I will get the $70,000, and I will continue doing what I'm doing, and I would then have been considered successfully funded also. So those are the two choices that you have in entering it. But what crowdfunding does is opens the doorway initially within the Bahamas for individuals to raise capital from individuals other than going to family, friends, credit card, mortgaging their houses or whatever. And so if we don't get to fully understand what the crowdfunding platform is, and the fact that the Security Commission did enter in at the appropriate time, and I guess as we mature into regulatory technology, which they call RegTech, financial technology, which is no, that's fintech, financial technology, with the industry in. We have regulatory technology and supervisory technology, where they could use software to anonymously monitor these platforms and even act even faster and not have to look for errors in reporting or something of that sort, or people tipping them off. We will come to that point, and it'll come to that point because the faster we can mature in understanding these platforms, the greater it'll be for others to enter the market. Individuals like me have not entered the market, though I want to enter into the crowdfunding, is because we have an immature market, and the more people enter without the education, you begin to cannibalize each other. Because if you only have a limited amount of businesses that want to enter this platform to raise the capital, we will then begin to compete for a very limited amount of people. But crowdfunding, as it matures, imagine that you have a platform based in the Bahamas that has the ability to raise money in the US and the ability to raise money in Canada. You would have access to millions of people for which you can offer to raise $500,000, $1 million. You know, like say you want to build a short-term vacation rental, 4 units for $1 million. You would be able to go there and find 1,000 people who would invest $1,000 for a particular return on their investment, as part of the shares of this bed and breakfast or whatever, and you would have the $1 million. Then you would follow the rules. And this is where the Security Commission comes in to make sure that you follow the rules for these investments. And so now Namish won't have to go to the bank for one person. Like you go to the bank for $1 million, and you have to put up all these, you have to put on the security, all of these documents. Whereas with the crowd investment, it lowers the bar to such a point where you just have to basically bring some financials, depends on the amount you're raising, an accountant signature or attestation or whatever.
But you said something very key, C. Allen, and that is that there is really a lack of education or lack of understanding as to how this works. So a lot of people decided to take a chance on it without some of them fully understanding how this works. And then the whole FTX thing happened. And
Right.
all people were hearing from FTX is commingling of funds, commingling of funds, commingling of funds. So even though they may not have understood everything that happened with FTX, they know now that commingling of funds is not a good idea.
Isn't that right?
So we bring it back home. And now people who entrusted their hard-earned dollars in the Arawak X platform are hearing commingling of funds. And with a lack of full understanding, obviously people now know that that is a red flag.
It is.
So how will this now, and we're going to go into the response of Arawak X as well, because I think that's an important aspect of this conversation that we cannot ignore. But now that we have what seems to be this back and forth between Arawak X and the Securities Commission, one accusing one of mishandling its business, the other accusing the other one of alleged corruption,
Corruption and political interest.
and people in the middle who didn't understand this to begin with are now saying, "Wait a minute now. I take my hard-earned couple of dollars, put in this thing, because you all assured me that my money would be safe, that I would be getting all these returns, and now I'm hearing something else altogether. Now you all got this back and forth between the two entities. What happens to my money?" So how is this now going to impact the nation from a perspective of future development, embracing these new technologies? Is this going to set us back even further?
It has the potential, and this is where the commission has to get out ahead of this. And the court will ultimately decide what the accusation is being made concerning Arawak X and against the commission and what the commission is saying. But it will not change the commission because the accusation is being made against individuals for certain behavior. But it doesn't change the rules by which crowdfunding, tokenization, and any digital assets is governed. Again, the accusation is that these individuals is colluding or doing something else. So the question then becomes, if you move these individuals and replace them with other individuals, will the system work as intended? Yes, it will. And so now, if there is a method, if supposed to be, I'm not saying there is, right? It says that there's some adjustments have to be made. This is why I consider this a good thing, because if some adjustments now have to be made, this is a good time for us to have discussion concerning even proper disclosure and how interaction with the Securities Commission and companies in the space has to happen. Now, I want people to understand that conversation between Arawak X and the Commission. What the Commission has to do now is continue its move towards finding out the information as to whether or not those individuals who did not have their funds dispersed to a successful campaign and other campaigns that may have failed, did they get their refunds? And if they did not, why not? Because so far we knew about maybe about 5. We knew about 3 being successful. And I do remember there was the YMAX, it was a virtual offering for downtown or something of that sort, and a dark kitchen type environment was also offered, and maybe something else. Those individuals that pledged to fund those things because they were not successful, were they refunded in the appropriate time? Those are questions that has to be answered, because essentially The crowdfunding platform is a standalone entity, just like a bank is, just like some other exchange. And it is basically a centralized exchange. And the only similarities in this instance, because you can have, is the fact that FTX was a centralized exchange, and this is another form of a centralized exchange, but they act in two total different functions. This this crowdfunding platform is a direct intermediary between an investor and those that want to invest, as opposed to people as FTX on another crypto exchange was offering the sales of various different things. Some people call commodities, some people call cryptocurrencies, multitude of these different things and multitude of services and etc. This is more a very simplified. I want to invest. I want you to invest in my company. I need somebody who has been licensed to make sure that both of us say who we are, KYC, and my documents that I am promising checks out so that it can be presented to you who wants to invest in me. And that is what this is. There are some rules for which the exchange must have money in escrow, not be commingled with the money that's raised to be distributed. Is not to be commingled with the revenue from the company, because the company charges you to be on its platform. Some preparation fee, maybe some business development fee, whatever that is, and helping you get ready to be on their platform. So that revenue is the company's revenue. But when income start coming in from these people who have an interest in investing in these companies, those are supposed to be put in escrow until the requirements of all or nothing is met, or whatever threshold setup is met. And those funds, within 3 days, I think, is to be transferred to the company if they're successful. And that company should have no delay in having those funds, because it's 100% secure. It's supposed to be in a separate account. Or the investors, if the company is not successful, should automatically instantly get a reversal of whatever method they paid out to them. And that is where the argument concerning RWAC-X is that an allegation has been made that RWAC-X reached into the client's fund, not when I say the client, the investor's fund, and used it to pay expenses, and were moving towards anticipated income to replace the money that should have been in escrow. That's the allegation. And if that has happened, then the Bahamas Security Commission is within their right of the rule to seize the company, just like they did FTX, and any one of these things that falls under their jurisdiction, to protect the interests of those investors. And so they also would move to seize any assets, same way any assets or anything of our asset, to help recover those funds, and any excess beyond those funds that should have been in escrow would then be returned to the company, or the winding down of the company. And if the company doesn't have any assets to cover it, but essentially, even if the company has enough assets to cover those individual losses, the fact that they violate the rules gives the Securities Commission the right to wind them up. The Security Commission, they have to show cause as to why they should not be. The Security Commission is simply following the rules, and they would have to show cause as to why they should not be winded up. And so the Security Commission seemed to be acting according to the rules if you remove the allegations concerning conflict of interest with the Honor Security Commission that has been made by RWAC-X. And so I want people to know that we must come to understand crowdfunding, tokenization, fractionalization, and these concepts of raising capital, because what it does, it gives the regular behemoth with a nominal business plan the ability to access up to $5 million by going to the crowd, going to the millions of people in the US, around the Caribbean, in Canada, and having 1,000 people, 10,000 people who believe in your project invest $50, $100, whatever amount of monies, and then you can hit your goal up to $5 million to do your investment. So you don't need now to go into the bank and bring your mummy property and your son's birth certificate and your daughter marriage certificate and all those things that we normally have from the bank. This gives you, this is literally a virtual copy, would you say, a high school, I don't want to make it like a thing, but an unsophisticated platform as the same as being as BizX is available for other companies. But now you just limit it. If you want $5 million or more, if you want $5 million, you have to go to BizX. If you want under $5 million, you can. I don't want. You can go to any licensed exchange under the crowdfunding rules, licensed crowdfunding exchange in the Bahamas. I anticipate there'll be others. I knew that Carlisle Bethel had started a process for his real estate crowdfunding platform. Mr. Matt Sweeting had spoke about doing one, and I have one in consideration also, just that each of us different ways along the road to being licensed, because we can't operate as an exchange like RWEC has until we actually meet all of the requirements of the Securities Commission. And so that's why you may not seeing others in the marketplace, but that doesn't mean there's not others like myself who's moving towards entering that marketplace. So I want people to understand that the confidence is there. And and believe it or not, yesterday I had a wonderful opportunity to listen to a presentation by former Justice Neville Adderley, who is the chairman of the Securities Commission, on crowdfunding. And he answered a lot of questions, and I got to find out where the commission was in the benchmark. He did a presentation to the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce. And so he gave a presentation, but observation of those in the room, and this is the business people, we have quite a bit of education to break down exactly what crowdfunding is. Now, that responsibility does not lie with the Securities Commission exclusively. It lies with them. Individuals like myself who intend to enter the marketplace also has to help people understand the marketplace, as well as government must take a proactive role in educating people to the various different methodology of raising capital to fund projects in the marketplace. And let me just touch other point. Like tokenization is another method that is very similar to crowdfunding, and even fractionalization is another similar method. And so we have to begin to have conversations so we can set rules on how these functions in the Bahamas. Because understand is that in the same way we are targeting Bahamians, for a company like myself that wants to move and begin to make these offers in the United States, I have to separately meet their rules, which will be the SEC or the FTCC, or whatever it is in the US, as well as the CSA in Canada. I have to meet those separate rules to be able to give those individuals who I'm targeting the confidence that I'm following the rules. And so, literally speaking, if we get this right, more so in the next year, we can actually have billions of dollars pour into this country. And
all right, I want to pick up there on the other side, but we do have to take a break because we are talking about something that could potentially transform the economy, and in a way that there is no question as to whether or not the everyday Bahamian can benefit economically from being a part of this new movement. So you don't have to wait for a system to be set up. You don't have to wait for the establishment of a sovereign wealth fund and all these other things we're talking about in the carbon credit. This is something that you can get returns in very real time, much sooner, if done right. And so the impact on the economy can be tremendous, but if done right, and that's the ticket right there. So let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to break this down even further. Stay with us. This is GPS. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, tints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company along with my guest, C. Allen Johnson. We are streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. If you haven't already done so, please like and share the show. We're also streaming live on YouTube, and you can find us on Cable Bahamas Channel 974, where you can download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and check us out there. The telephone numbers to call are 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, or the WhatsApp line for messages and calls is 242-801-0271. That is 801-0271. 71. Welcome to all of you who are tuned in by way of radio, whether it is here in New Providence, Grand Bahama, the rest of the family islands, or outside the country. A huge welcome to you all. So, my guest today is C. Alan Johnson. We're talking about this whole question that is being raised now by some about the viability of these new technologies and new practices that could potentially be game changers for our economy, but with a populace who is eager to participate but not so educated on it. Whenever there is some kind of uh, disagreement, for want of a better word, as we see happening now between Arawak X and the Securities Commission of the Bahamas, it erodes the confidence that many potential investors have. And when I say investors, I mean everyday people like you and I, to embrace these new technologies, which could, in very real terms, quickly be a game changer for our economy. So prior to the break, Alan, you wanted to talk about um, tokenization, um, uh, and what was the other thing you said you wanted to touch on?
Fractionalization.
Yeah, break that down for us.
Okay, but let me just say that to let people know that these concepts are 20 years old. These are not new concepts. In fact,
Okay.
these were like almost like in an unregulated space pre-Obama. And during the time his campaign, he had promised that he would bring these into a regulated sphere, which he did. I don't remember the exact. The word there's a meaning for the word crowd, but it meant to bring in. It doesn't just mean the group. In fact, Mr. Neville Adderley explained that the word, but he did around 2008 did bring it into a form of regulation as promised under the Jobs Act, and there's another legislation for the meaning of the word crowd. But what it did was, I just want people to understand that there's so much evolution of this since then, that when we're talking, we're saying that the regular person on the street, and I see where people are asking about the carbon credit. I want to do a separate show on how carbon credits ties into tokenization, crowdfunding, as well as how individuals can actually become involved in the carbon economy, the climate economy, green, blue, ocean, and aquamarine economy. I don't want the arguments of what carbon credits is to permeate the show today. This is not
Right.
the day for it.
It's two different topics. Yeah.
Right. That's something that could go on these platforms, but you will not understand how the carbon credits and how you could be actually involved beyond what we've been screaming about the sovereign wealth fund. Because individuals could be involved in these trillion-dollar industries if they understand these platforms. Because this is how you will be able to enter the platform on your own, rather than saying government is going to give you some handout. So let's focus today on understanding how these platforms work. So what happens is you have crowdfunding. Let me go back to crowdfunding. So crowdfunding gives even the mom and pop, if you want to start a breakfast stand on the store, you want to enter the tourism industry for the straw market and become digitized. All this allows the regular person to raise, literally speaking, I think that the crowdfunding might raise from $1,000, but our threshold for regulation is $250,000 to $5 million. I think that's the figure. So what it does, it allows if you have an idea for something and it's not as sophisticated, it can be explained on a simple business plan, you can enter the crowdfunding platform, find 250 people to give you $1,000, 500 people to give you $500, what is that, 2,000 people to give you $100, whatever it is that you need to enter into the platform, because they will be confident to know that when they give you they invest this $500, they're getting better returns than what they would do in a savings account or something else of that sort, and it's protected by the rules which is the same rules as investing on the on BISX. But what it also does, it allows individuals to be educated concerning the risk. So it mitigates the risk of scammers just coming up with some ideas, because the platform would have been vetted by the Securities Commission of the Bahamas, and if the if the crowdfunding platform also followed the rules, they would have vetted the investors as well as the company that's seeking the investments. So that gives you these levels of security that you're not meeting some guy under the tree who's selling you on this good idea, and he starts a business that doesn't do what he says he will do. And I mean, so just imagine that you have an idea that you need $250,000 or $100,000, whatever the amount, $500,000 up to $5 million, and now you just need to be able to articulate. Like, I guess you'll see people see these things where they do these pitch. Essentially, what you're doing is you're doing a pitch to the crowd rather than to the shark investors. You're pitching to thousands, tens of thousands of individuals who will then
Right.
buy it. And says, I like that idea, and Tropical Gyro is one of those where he pitched to the Bahamian people. They said, "Look, I want to be part of this company. I'm going to be eating there. I'll be contributing my money to there, growing my investments, making sure that the company catches on." The same thing with Dr. Danny Johnson. He explained to the people the need to enter the marketplace for these foot care, and everybody knows somebody with something. So people say, "Oh, yeah, there's going to be a whole bunch of people who need his services. I want to be in the part of his company. I want to share in the profits of that company." Everybody says, "Oh, we know what Red Lobster is. We're going to go there. We know that Red Lobster is going to run. Red Lobster is going to make some money." Instead of me just sit buying, I want to own some shares. So every time I break open a lobster, or somebody break open a lobster, I get some profit. And it's simple as that. Oh, C. Allen Johnson has this idea for this technology company, and everybody going to be digitizing. So I want to invest in C. Allen Company. So when he makes these $1 billion, he has to share some of that with me. And that's about as simple as it is. Now, when you now come to a concept called fractionalization, and just let me add to this. In case people don't know, you can crowdfund a mortgage. You know how you go to the bank, and you go to the bank and you need to give up all these money, these deposits and everything to the bank. You can actually schedule a crowdfunding and raise the $200,000 to $300,000 you need for the mortgage. Just show them how your home could generate the revenue. Maybe incorporate a brand new bill with a short-term rental or something, which then brings us to this whole concept of fractionalization. Fractionalization is almost exactly identical to crowdfunding. It's just that the steps. I'm not going to try to we can do a separate show on each one of these concepts, because there's about 5 different concepts. I'm going to talk just for crowdfunding, fractionalization, and tokenization today. But it's like you need $100, and you want to break this into 100 pieces. And what fractionalization does, it allows you now to break something into a fixed amount of pieces and sell shared equity in it, shared ownership in it. So unlike with crowdfunding, when you invest in the company and the company is going to try to sell things to make a profit, with fractionalization, let's say we want to buy a house or an apartment complex, fourplex for rental. It's $500,000. We could simply say 500 of us are we're gonna divide this into a fractional of 500, and 500 of us is gonna put $1,000, and the property act as collateral in this fractionalization. This is what they call real world assets. So unlike when you say the company could fail, the business slow down, and nobody eats, or various different things, you are now in a fractionalization environment. You are investing in it's backed by real world assets.
So what you're saying to me then, hold on. What you're saying to me then is that, because a lot of people right now, with the economy being what it is, have been struggling to make payments on their mortgages, etc. So you're saying if they have the ability to, say, turn a portion of their home into an Airbnb, for instance, they could then look towards crowdfunding to try to underwrite the cost of, say, renovations to get that Airbnb running. So does it mean then
that they are part owner of your house?
Yes, you'd move into what's called fractionalization, because see, they could in fractionalization you could have. I can come back for tokenization. How that's going to happen? This is what I'm saying to you. These are all interconnected. With fractionalization, I could look at my house. Let's say I have a house for $250,000, and I simply have room to build another room. I have a mortgage that I'm paying 12% on, and there's a lot of people have a heavy mortgages. I could now go and set up a business plan to say, look, this is how I will add to my home or modify my home. This is what I need for that modification, and this is what I need to do to retire that mortgage. Now, let's say I have this $250,000 home. I want to retire that mortgage for $250,000. I need $50,000 to make these modifications to enter this into the short-term rental. I set up a business plan showing how this home, if I get a reduction from my 9% interest, 8% interest, or whatever, to 0% interest per shared equity, or whatever, in the beauty about fractionalization, you can have redemption, whatever rules you have. But let's say you promise them that they would now share, you say, look, I know that we could get $200 a night for these rooms at the level that I'm going to make this apartment, these units, bringing it up to 3-star. There's going to be a demand for it, 70% occupancy over the year because there's an absolute demand. And you do those calculations, and those individuals say, look, I could give my $1,000 to this mortgage, and this is my expected return from under fractionalization. Let's say I give $500, I get a 10% return on my money every year. That's $50 a year, or let's say $5 a month based on the revenue coming in. That is significantly more than I'm getting in the bank. So they say, no, I'll send $100. I'll send $1,000 towards owning this mortgage, because again, the money you're giving me is secured by the mortgage. So if I don't do what I say in this bed and breakfast, I will lose the house anyway. But you would lose the house to the LLC or whatever that holds the title for the fractionalization for you failing. So now these individuals could bring down their mortgage to almost to zero fee, because they're now paying this interest and management to these investors who were saying, instead of to the bank, they're paying it to me. And now they may even getting a better return on their money, because remember, all you're doing is displacing the bank in fractionalization. Is that you're saying you could go for me? Or see, Alan Johnson wants to build a fourplex to enter the market. I need $1 million to build this fourplex. I convince 1,000 people and show them how this fourplex will run, how it will work, and the property would be put into a special LLC or whatever to hold the title to this property that's controlled by this fractionalization. I'll come back after the break and explain how smart contracts and everything tie into this. But now you will raise 1,000 people that give you the $1,000, and you're now running this bed and breakfast. Because remember now, you take $1 million, build this 4 or 5-star bed and breakfast that people want to have. You're now getting $1,000 a week, $1,500 a week. You would be then sharing revenue with those individuals that each one of you will then will be divided depending on when you declare dividends at the end of the year, every 6 months, whatever. Most likely be at the end of the year. So you have this $1 million property that was rented for $1,500 a week for 40 weeks of that year. You have $60,000. You divide that by the number of investors, and you share that, and you still have the property minus whatever expenses. So now, what it does, it just redefines banking as you know it. And then after the break, we'll come back to the tokenization, because I will start on that, on how these smart contracts, what they call DAOs, how these smart contracts can actually act as executors. So these are what they call trustless system. Now, I don't want people to think that trustless means you don't trust anybody. It means I don't need to depend on you to execute based on trusting you. I don't need to trust you. I don't need to know you, because the system of fractionalization and tokenization and these DAO, what they call smart contract, automatically execute what's supposed to be done without I don't have to say, I can't this week and say, but I don't feel like doing this. The smart contract controls that environment. And so once we understand the availability, we need 20,000 rooms on Grand Bahama for our short-term rentals. These outer islands need literally thousands of rooms. I would say the Bahamas need almost as much as 100,000 rooms across the archipelago if we had to reach capacity. So instead of now looking for an investor to come in and build 1,000 rooms, 2,000 rooms, behemoths can get together with a minimal amount of money, go to the public, raise $1, 2, 3, 4, $5 million, and go build these bed and breakfasts by raising this capital. The individuals that only have $1,000 to invest, $5,000 to invest, $10,000 to invest, they can't singularly build a bed and breakfast. They now could come together and go and build these bed and breakfasts. You know the tourism market is going to be there. They know it's going to be a demand, and you share in the revenue and management and everything of it. And so,
but you're talking about raising that kind of money. You could create a couple of them instead of
no,
just one.
No, I'm saying you could go for 4-plex, 10-plex, and you could go to the market and have a whole bunch of boutique hotels.
So now we're talking about a very real way to empower ordinary Bahamian people coming together, working together, to get this done.
I'd be beginning to talk more about this. This is not as complicated as it may seem. It is simple.
Yeah, because I was about to say that it sounds for some to be complicated, but it's not as complicated as people think.
No.
Now, the question is, if this is possible legally, why ain't nobody saying this?
Well,
why?
Individuals like me have said it for 2 decades. You could go back to Jeffrey Lloyd of 2004, 5, 6, whatever he was on the show, where we talked about this concept. But again, we as a country could see where we are now. Here, this crowdfunding is almost 2 decades old, and we're just beginning to talk about it. So what we need to do is we need to quickly learn about this 2 decades old technology. At the same time, we're talking about the DARE bill, because the DARE bill, these are very similar and overlapping concepts. And so we need to talk about when the DARE bill goes into full more discussion. We have to begin to understand so we can make demand for our inclusion into these new concepts that we are preparing for, supposed to be for foreigners. That Bahamians also need equitable access to these same platforms, these same rules that we're making for supposed to be people like OKX and FTX and OKY, whatever these platforms, that we have Bahamians who can enter the marketplace, who understand facilitating these. Now, I want you to understand, this is so simple. You could go and buy the software off the shelf to start your own platform to offer crowdfunding to other people. You just
and this is legal right now in the Bahamas.
Right now, tomorrow. If you call me today, I could start you on the way of starting your own platform. And this is what it's literally buying it off the shelf. You could buy, they call it white label, where you will never know that you didn't write the software. Okay? And you can enter the market if you want to offer these services to other people, because all you're doing is, if you follow the rules of the software and follow the rules of the Security Commission of the Bahamas, and don't get overwhelmed with the potential income and start spending, what they say, touchy feed people money and stuff, you can make a fortune facilitating these 100,000 rooms that is needed, because you will get a commission in preparation of the business plan, as well as the transaction fees that happens on your platform. What also happened is, you, as this industry mature in the Caribbean, maybe $1 trillion is needed to be infused into the Caribbean, that you could now begin to offer services and begin to penetrate these markets and offer these to individuals in Jamaica, even in Haiti, even in Curacao and all these other places. So the Bahamas has an opportunity for an aggressive education to get a few dozen, if not a few hundreds of us into the marketplace. But even greater is that if individuals like me can pull off, I've already did, this was an example on my platform. My wife and I already presented our platform for consideration under US laws as well as Canadian laws. And they have certified, based on what we want to offer in the market of tokenization, we would not come under regulations of the US or Canada. The reason why we haven't entered that marketplace, we've been watching other entrants in the marketplace, and somehow, because this technology is ahead of the regulators, they have a concept in the US that they're doing regulation by prosecution. So they say to Seattle, come into the US, raise your $1 billion. And then they start observing, they go, oh, we don't regulate that. So here's some new rules for you to abide by. And now I have to go abide by these rules. And so we're trying to get clarification that, look, here's what we want to do. Here's how we want to do it. It does not meet the requirements by the SEC or by your other financial rules. Can you give us an assurance that if we follow exactly as we present this, that you will not come back and set rules in the middle of the game? You know, you're in the middle of a football game or basketball game, and the referee run out there and say, here's the new rules. And so
But you know, in this town, that could be a very real possibility, because it seems that when they see Bahamians making money, they got to find a way to get a piece of that pie or tax them or something. They can't be satisfied with Bahamians being about it.
No, but here's the beauty about this. My platform does not have to be in the Bahamas. I want it in the Bahamas. What I mean by this, if Bahamians learn what these technologies is, I could go to the US, I could go to Cayman, and don't offer it in Cayman. Just be Dawson Island, Cayman, or Dawson Island in the Bahamas, and do not offer it to Bahamians. I could register under the DARE bill, and I could go and say, I'm selling my tokens only in the US and meet their requirements and only in Canada. And now I want to build this bed and breakfast. I could go and raise $1 million, $2 million, and come into the Bahamas and build out on my own, because I have a platform, and then separately others use the platform to invest, my friends, my family, my cousins, whatever else. And I've raised the millions of dollars for them, and they begin to build the bread and breakfast, the bed and breakfasts. And so essentially, I'm saying that we need to learn this so we can go into Jamaica and own their industries and their tourism industries and other different businesses and finance their businesses. We can raise capital to go and sell to those countries. Those countries consume billions, just how we consume billions of dollars a year. They consume billions of dollars a year. The problem is that when you say to Bahamian people, why don't you go sell stuff you don't own to people you don't know for money you never have in Jamaica, they say, I don't have the money to start. These platforms afford you the opportunity to start. Tokenization, which we'll talk to after the break, will give you the ability to offer, and tokenization is just another method of ownership, to be able to transfer ownership towards somebody else and control it by smart measures. And I'm saying is that
we got to take a break. We're talking a game changer as far as our economy is concerned.
Absolutely.
And yet, we are not being educated about such a thing.
We can talk about it.
Hold on. No. We can talk about this after the break. It's 3:00. I got to take my break. So let's go to the break, and then we can talk about that on the other side. Stay with us. This is GPS. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, paint, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here, along with my guest, Alan Johnson. Numbers to call, 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. The WhatsApp line for messages and calls is 8010271. That's area code 242-8010271. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM Facebook pages. Please like and share the show if you haven't already done so. Also streaming live on our YouTube channels. And you can catch us on Cable Bahamas 974. You can also download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and listen or watch us there. So we are on radio as well. Please welcome to all of you tuned in by way of radio. 99.5 FM on the dial here in Providence. What's the numbers in the radio numbers in Grand Bahamas, Alan? What is the? Are you frozen?
Can you hear me? My video may be frozen.
Yeah, the video is frozen, but I can hear you.
Yeah, I don't know the radio station in I'm in Freeport because this is an issue with my processing power. I'm looking right now that it says that I have 100.
We just lost C. Alan Johnson. Okay, hopefully he will be able to reconnect with us as soon as possible. In the meantime, I'm going to go to some of your comments. So let's see. Miko says, this is good information. That's all needed to learn if you want to start a business and don't have means to do it on their own, group enterprises. Ellard says, it's a little confusing right now, but I understand though. Miko says the contracts are a reflection of power and organization. Ellard says the Bahamas needs to start focusing on investing. I think once we learn how to invest, the Bahamas economy will become less dependent on getting help from others around the world. Well, here's the thing, and I'm hoping that C. Allen can reconnect quickly. One of the reasons why we have such a challenge in this country is because I just could say we got a bunch of shallow people. We have a bunch of shallow people. I've seen people in the chat right here saying, "Oh, this is a boring show today." They ain't gonna take the time to listen and try to learn something to truly empower themselves. But because we ain't talking politics, because we ain't talking, you know, about who sent out message to which group, and uh, uh, because we ain't talking all that rah rah foolishness, that people tuning us out. Oh, that's a boring show today. Whereas what you could learn in this show today could change your life, could
Yes,
impact you to the point where you don't need to have to rely on the politician to do the right thing, whether it's by carbon credits or anything else. You sitting back waiting, beating up your gum. Oh, we need this and I'm not saying that you shouldn't lobby for these things. But here it is that this is a plan that's being laid out before you that could be a life changer for you in very real terms in the short term, but you so busy caught up in foolishness that you it goes straight over your head. And that's a part of the problem we have, Seattle. We got too many shallow people in this country.
because what happens is, and this is where in digital entrepreneurship comes in, because we have been conditioned in a socialized aspect that somebody's going to take care of you. Here it is that, which I'll explain right now, how tokenization, fractionalization, and crowdfunding works together. Right now, you cannot find a single behemoth who comes to me right now who wants $1 million to go into business for themselves and is willing to prepare the business plan that I couldn't get funded. And I would chat, there's none. Let me use a good example. And I want to go back, and this could fund any single thing. But I want to go back into the tourism industry because this is something that is a no-brainer for us that we need. We are lacking rooms. We are lacking activities that you want to have a boat. And this I'm going to show you where crowdfunding, tokenization, and fractionalization comes in. I'm going to take this kind of slowly so people can understand. I want to build a 10-room boutique hotel that, and give me a second. Let me pull up my my calculator here so I could kind of hit the numbers, and so people, in case somebody's listening, they could actually do the numbers for me. Okay, I want you to follow me on this. I have a 10-room hotel I want to build. So what I will do is I'm going to break that into 150 tokens, right? And the way I'm going to do that is let's reset. I want to build a 10-room boutique hotel. And the way I would tokenize it, this is somebody, they sit with me, I say to them, look, let's tokenize that hotel into weeks into tokens. Every week will represent a token, or even 7 tokens, meaning a week. So I said, let's break that up into, let's use the week as a token. I said, let's break that up into a week. Over a 9-year period, let's take the 52 weeks, and you said 52 weeks, and you said over a 9-year period, that would give me 468 weeks that's available in my place over that time. Let's say I want to tokenize. I want to sell 50%. I want to reuse it 50% of this to raise capital. So what I have now is 234 weeks, and I already decided in my hotel that I'm going to rent my hotel. I'm going to rent my hotel. Let me do this again. It's 10 weeks, 10 rooms times 52 weeks times 9 years. Sorry, that's 4,680 weeks. Okay, listen to this carefully. So in my hotel, over 9 years, I get 4,680 weeks that I can rent out. I now decide that I'm going to tokenize this hotel to the rate of 50% of the hotel, or let's use 40% of the hotel. Okay, so you go and you say, out of that 4,680, I gonna divide by 4. Sorry, I would offer 1,170 tokens. Listen to me carefully for this, okay? I'm going to put each of those tokens on a value of $200, representing $200 a night over 7 deals. So that means that would give me $1,400 is the value of each of these tokens. I'm going to sell 1,170 tokens, which represents 40% of the rooms that's available in that hotel. Let's say now that I'm selling them for $1,500 for the week. $1,500 a week. Or for each one represents a week. I have just raised $1,755,000 to build a 10-room bed and breakfast. If you could build a 600 square feet, 700 square feet, so now you could build a one-bedroom, small one-bedroom, beautifully furnished unit for less than $150,000. So that means, and furnish it. Let's put it at, if you divide by this 10-room, you have $175,000 now per unit to build and furnish this place. You have now built and furnished a place that you have given out 1,170 tokens. You have attached a value to those tokens and simply said to those individuals, you can use these tokens to visit the Bahamas and stay at my hotel at no additional charge because you have prepaid, it's called offset, to be able to get these to stay in my hotel. My hotel will be renting for $2,000 a week or longer. You have paid me in advance for $1,500. This will cover a one-bedroom, one-bath place, sleeps 4, immaculately furnished. You've taken that money and built a place that actually meet net zero, a passive building, maybe using ICF or something, that your electricity bill is 10% of what you would normally be, solar, all these different things. You don't have to use the figures I use, but we'll sit down and make a determination. I just want to show you. So now you've given away 1/3 of the weeks in exchange for raising the money. Have what? You still own 2,340 weeks over those 9 years that you could rent out, but you have no income. You have no bills on this building. So you have a building that is debt-free, that some people will come on average 15 weeks a year if you average it out over the 9 years, or put it down as 20 weeks per year. So you still have 30 weeks a year that you owe nobody for. It's open for you to rent and pay whatever maintenance fee it is to keep that building. Now, what you've done is you went to the crowd and raised your money. You have now tokenized the business because you have basically given people these tokens and say, when you come, these tokens will be redeemed for 1 week in my place. You could use it, you could sell it, you could exchange it, you could give it away. So you have raised the money to enter into the marketplace. This is but one of hundreds of variation, tokenization, fractionalization, and crowdfunding is only limited by your imagination. Following the rules. And so let's go back to what a token is. Tokens is the same as these concepts when people cry about cryptocurrencies. What tokens does, if I buy a token in this business, what now happens is when it's time for me to exchange this token, whoever possesses the tokens almost act as if though they are bearer bonds. The bearer gets to use it. Whoever presents these tokens gets to spend a week. Or if necessary, I agree that when I rent the week for the $2,000, I will send that $2,000 to you. Remember, I still have the 30 weeks that I can use on my own. So I say to you, give me $1,500 for this week. If you want, you can buy 5 weeks or 10 weeks. And you give that to me. And when the billing will be fractionalized, and the billing itself will act as the collateral. And when I rent this week that belongs to you, I will send you $2,000 for what I rented it for, rather than the $1,500 you invest. So you've made a return, 25% return or 30% return on your money. And so there's so much it's so much unlimited, and these are all controlled by tokens. So now what happens is when you're holding the token,
Ah, see, Alan is having some serious challenges with his internet. He just fell off the game. Um, okay, I want to read a message that's coming in from one of our WhatsApp viewers. It says, "This show is beautiful because I want to build my villas on the Family Islands, and this sounds like my breakthrough." Um, this really does sound very, very promising for the everyday Bahamian who may have a great idea, may even already have a home that they have decided that they can, cut up and create a couple of Airbnbs, um, or a couple of these units that he's describing, to be able to just survive, because a lot of people are now doing that, where you have people who have taken a portion of their home and are monetizing it to the degree that the home is paying for itself in terms of mortgages, etc. And the thing is that, you know, you have to get to the place where you understand that it is better to own a piece of a big pie than own all of nothing. I will repeat that because Seattle is back on now. Seattle, I'm saying that the concept here, what people need to understand is it is better for you to own a slice, a piece of a big pie, than for you to own the whole of nothing.
Absolutely. And this is what tokenization, fractionalization, crowdfunding get to do. The scenario I said to you is give up 40% of your hotel for 100% financing. Listen to very carefully. I've given up 40% of myself of the hotel for 100% of what it costs to build and furnish the hotel. I have done nothing but the preparatory fees and have the platform supervise the build out of this hotel, and the hotel act as collateral until I pay back the people. Now you have a hotel with no mortgage, that you only have to pay the people back when you rent a room. You rent the room because you build a super nice place for their investment, and you rent the room for above. Let's say they invested $1,000 or 1,200. Let's say $1,500, and your room, because of the quality you build, could get $2,000 a week on it. Whenever you rent a room on a building that you owe nothing for, you buy back a token. And the next week you rent another room, you buy back another token. Then the next week you pay the bills. Then the week after you buy another token, and you keep buying them back. And when you own 100% of the tokens that you sold 40% of, you own the hotel debt free. And the only thing you did was made a preparation to go onto the platform to raise the capital. And what the Bahamas does, the location in the Bahamas, gives you an ideal situation because you are in a market that the government is marketing, and everybody knows the Bahamas is the paradise, sunshine, sea, and service.
So you don't even have to spend any money on
marketing.
Your
and
place.
I'm saying to you, and so I'm saying to you, we have an opportunity to make thousands of millionaires over the next coming years in these new digital economies that we hear our MPs talk about, and that's what we've been doing for 2 decades. And we have to stop talking. And this is why, let me insert this here. When we start talking about what happens next on Grand Bahama, and I like the fact, understand this, not Obadiah was a very close friend of mine. Anybody knows our relationship knows that he was going back to my family for decades. I'm sorry about his death. I am grieving in respect to our friendship. But his death may have opened the door to a conversation of making millionaires in an industry that he, ministerial position, he sharpened his teeth on. Hospitality, tourism and hospitality. We have a need. We have the opportunity to embrace a platform that allows Bahamians to get 100% financing for the preparatory fees. Most people go to the bank for a $2 million business loan, they're going to tell you bring 2 million, 2.5 million as collateral, we lend you the $2 million and all these different things. You now have the ability to go for crowdfunding and tokenization as a security, because again, you're telling people these things will sit on a DAO, on a decentralized autonomous organization, which is a digital contract that you can't modify. It's on the blockchain, meaning that you can't hide anything about it. You can't manipulate anything, because this is all blockchain technologies I'm talking about. And so now the people are trusted, they invested, they know that they've purchased a week from you that for $1,500 they can sell for $2,000, or they can use themselves. Essentially, they may have bought the weeks from you. They're buying, somebody come to you and say, you know what, I want 5 of these weeks, 7 of these weeks. You know why? They come to the Bahamas every year. They're locking in today's prices for 10 years from now. Because once they buy it a week, they can redeem it anytime in the next 10 years or 15 years, whatever the time limit you set. So why wouldn't, if I come to the Bahamas frequently, buy a vacation in a 4-star place you build that I could buy today for $1,500 and use 7 years from now? And a good example of this, it cost $900 to go to some of these destinations like the Bahamas and TCI pre-COVID. It now costs $1,300. Had you bought your vacation for $900 and had the price, had 10 weeks, you could redeem it anytime you want. When you show up, they have to redeem it at the price you paid for, regardless of what the price has been. And so there's a lot of methods that we could use to do this. This is things that I've been advocating for over a decade, and that my wife and I have spent the last 5 years building. And we're to the point that even though we have an immature public and regulatory regime, it is still possible. I don't need the regulation. I want the regulation, because I want the regulation to give me additional credibility in the marketplace. I want to be in a jurisdiction that has fintech laws, that has regulatory laws, that has supervisory laws that they'll be able to look at and fund it. I want property tech laws that says your property will be protected based by this regime. I want
because when you think about it, based on what you're describing, if you get somebody who is a shyster, they could take huge advantage of this. So you need the regulation to ensure that you weed out all the bad players.
Yes, and they can now look and say, look, Sea Island, you say you have these three people in the Bahamas saying that they can do this. But only Sea Island has the stamp of the stamp from the Securities Commission. They are observing him through the regulatory technology. So he's not telling them anything. They're actually observing what is happening on the platform, on the blockchain. They're supervising it, and they have property technology from a digital standpoint to make sure that he's not been able to get rid of this property that he pledged against me. So we want these regulations in that gives us an advantage of being a jurisdiction to say we are legitimate. And so this is why when you hear me make arguments against the DARE bill saying it's improperly done, it is being not prepared to build for tomorrow, but as a response to trying to get activity today. And I'm saying to you is that the crowdfunding platform is a beginning, but we must come to understand this. And when we talk about, going back speaking about where Mr. Obadiah Wilshcombe, that may have opened a door, and I want to stick to the tourism and hospitality industry, because the platform my wife and I developed is called Hospitality as a Subscription and Tourism as a Service. You want to open up a restaurant in the Bahamas. All you need now is put down your business plan together, go to the crowdfunding platform, make sure it's on the blockchain, tokenized and fractionalized, and raise the $1 million that you want to open that restaurant. Raise the $1 million that you want to open that tour company. Raise the $2 million that you need, that you want to open up that tour boat, that boat to take people on trips or fishing or whatever else. This opens a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. And so when we talk about the needs of Grand Bahama, I'm saying that the next candidates has to be able to show that they have the ability to advocate for things like this, because Grand Bahama is the jump-off point for these things to happen, because infrastructurally we're prepared. These are the conversations that I want to see happen. And believe it or not, I already have candidates that are speaking to me, potential candidates, because none of them are being checked by their political parties, that are speaking to me already in regards to 2025 and 2026, who are now considering this accelerated opportunity to be able to present themselves. Because the individuals of West End and Bimini has been developed, but not to the inclusion of ownership. West End proper, we call it the whole Western area because it covers 8 Mile Rock and ever, have been excluded from the economy. We have an opportunity.
We have to take a break. I see some people making some comments in what's in our Facebook chat. Our people. Let's take this break, and then we're going to answer a couple of questions of these people who I think our people are just so used to only having one kind of conversation that you come to them with something other than what is popular of the day. And they can't even hear you because they're so busy caught up in all this other stuff that you're presenting them with something and they can't even hear you. And that is sad. And our politicians know this and take advantage of this and advantage of us as a collective because they know. So let's take this break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about this on the other side. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
At Lee Air, safety is our #1 priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all: schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. Call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466.
One of the things I love about the mailboat is their relationship with Bahamas Air. I can earn travel points on my international freight and redeem them when I fly.
For me, online shopping is easy, with mailboat to US addresses and regular freight delivery to Nassau. Plus, I can always prepay customs and freight, and they always notify me when my package arrives.
Yeah, a lot of people think the mailboat is just for shipping, but they also offer a safe and secure storage facility at affordable rates, all in a central, convenient location.
We also offer passenger service into Freeport multiple times per week with a seating capacity of over 450 persons. With family movies on large screens, one hot meal included, and on-board lounge for snacks and soft drinks. We're the mailboat. We're bridging people, products, and places.
Executive Printers is your one-stop shop for all your branding and customization needs. Letterheads, envelopes, business cards, invoices, share and gift certificates, rubber stamps, vouchers, funeral programs, brochures, flyers, banners, and promotional items like mugs, water bottles, mouse pads, and key rings, all with personable service and great quality. No project is too small or too large. For great turnaround and competitive pricing, make an executive decision. Call us at 393-5011.
All right, we're back. Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here with my guest, C. Alan Johnson. Numbers to call 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line for messages and calls is 8010271, 8010271. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm Global 99.5 FM pages, also streaming live on YouTube, and you can find us on Cable Bahamas 974, or you can download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and check us out there. Huge welcome to all of you tuned in by way of radio, 99.5 FM on the dial here in New Providence. Also welcome to all of you listening in Grand Bahama and the Family Islands, and of course those of you tuned in from around the world. Welcome to you all. So, see, Alan, before we dive back in, I want to read a couple of these comments. Actually, let me put back the... Okay, let me go to a couple of these comments. This one says... let's see. This one says, Bahamian people are drowning in minimum wage and being taxed to death that they could barely breathe to think outside the box, like what C. Allen is saying. What do make plenty sense, which I believe is possible. Same person says, raise the money from ASU drawers, suck my teeth. Then they say the Bahamian people need to be empowered now. Darren, I wonder if you've been listening to this show from the beginning. Because if you have been listening to this show from the beginning, then you would understand how this plan that C. Allen is laying out does exactly that. It empowers you now. I see. Go ahead.
These people with these natural resources and things, right? And I say to them, I challenge you to find one credible person in the financial industry who deals with securities, who deals in the blockchain market, who deals in commodities, who will go on the record and say what has been said could happen in the Bahamas can happen. If there's any leadership who says these can happen, in the time they said it could happen, by now, they should have been able to bring credible international people and others who will go on the record, not their word against a conspiracy theorist. There has to be somewhere in the Bahamas, somewhere in the Caribbean, somewhere in the world, individuals that is doing this, not in what you're saying in your happenstance. If you want to say Norway's doing it, bring one of those individuals from Norway to say simply, look, we need you to be able to authenticate my plan for this action to happen. Because they're only talking it. Present a plan. Because you're talking about all commodities and things being on the blockchain. I'm talking about the blockchain. How else are you going to prevent corruption unless it's on something like the blockchain? See, so it's like you want something, but you disconnect from the reality of how to obtain it. You want to sit around and say, hope, pray, and wish, where no one can authenticate the way you say it can happen. It can happen, but not the way it's being said. But I'm saying to you right now, just apply thought. And you could make your $1 million right now. I just want you to imagine that you have a hotel. You have something where you have 35 weeks a year of a hotel that's debt free that you could rent for $1,500 a week. But you're saying, I want my $100,000. I don't want to do anything. And I'm saying to you, you have a hotel that can last for 50 years, 30 years, whatever you maintain it. That's totally debt free. That you could rent. In 9 years, you owe nobody on it. The people would have used up their weeks. You got 52 weeks a year. It's yours. You got a 10-room hotel, $1,000 a week, $1,500 a week for the room. That's $15,000 a week for the rest of your life. And you're saying you want to wait for somebody to give you $100,000 a year. Now, that's an idiot. Okay? That's an idiot to say, I'm going to pass up. No, thank you, C. Allen. You're requiring me to think. You're requiring me to write down that I'm capable and competent of running a 10-room hotel room that needs to be cleaned once a week. No, C. Allen. I'd much rather wait because somebody told me that I don't have to do nothing. And they'll give me $100,000 a year. It's garbage.
Let me read another comment. This one is coming in from Perlin. And Perlin, I too hope that you tuned in late, which is why you're asking this question. Because if you didn't tune in late and you've been hearing everything we've been talking about, then clearly you didn't understand what we've been talking about. So I'm hoping that the case with you is that you tuned in late and you just need to go back and listen to the whole show. Perlin says, this is what I'm saying. We have Crown land. Give us our title so that we, the Bahamian people, can at least take it to the bank for an exchange for money. Most Bahamian people don't have no money. So clearly, Perlin ain't been listening to the show from the beginning.
Let me answer, see, because these crown lines, see, these are these garbage, these so-called leaders are preaching these people. Listen to me. When you take a loan to the bank, it's called a pimp prostitute arrangements. You get $1 million, you must now pay $10,000 a month while you bill. Okay? So before you even bill, you already owe the bank more than you borrowed. So I've given you the crown land, and one person who bought all of your crown land, because 90% of you will fail, will now own the crown land. First of all, when did you own some crown land? Crown land is owned by all of us as a collective. You don't have a right to no individual piece of no crown land. That's what government have fooled you. But let me give you a number. I want you to pause for a second. I want Bahamians to show you. Let me show you why. Let me show you what tokenization and fractionalization does right now for crown land. Now, those of you who are stuck on stupid, and then for those of you who basically have a little bit of sense, okay? We have 3 million acres of crown land. I want you to pause for a minute. I want to talk about 100,000 of it. The 300 million, not to you individually. I want you to follow me on this. I take 100,000 acres of crown land. I tokenize it, and I try to raise $50,000. I'm doing a calculator. I try to raise $50,000 tokenization, saying, in the future, you could, if you give me the $50,000 to invest in this acre, this is the return of money you're going to have. I have now 50 people on each acre that gives me $1,000. This is their return. I'm going to build a hotel on this land, right? Let me ask you a question. If I take 100,000 acres of crown land and I raise $50,000 each, remember now, RCI and the rest of them say they're going to make millions of dollars a year on each acre of crown land that they get from government. I'm saying that we're stupid. We're behemoths. We're stupid. They're going to make $1 million an acre. We so stupid, we'll only make $5,000 an acre over 10 years. I want to show you. They're going to make $1 million a year, but we're so stupid that we're only going to make 5,000. What we just did, we just raised $5 billion with just 100,000 acres, but we're not giving it away. We're going to build hotels to generate the revenue to give back that $5,000 a year. Mind you, I just got a whole hotel there, right? I'm going to give back $5,000 a year per acre to whoever it is that invested in me. See, that's how stupid I am. But I have $5 billion that I can lend behemoths now, interest-free, to go build a hotel so I can pay these people back there. I can pay these people back there $5,000 a year. I'm going to give you an interest-free loan and hold the property as collateral so when you mess up, I can take the property back from you because you already say you're an expert, right? So I ain't got to worry because the property is collateral. But guess what? Because the sovereign wealth fund owns the land, they didn't sell it to anybody. They lend it to you, and the sovereign wealth fund lent you the money. So if you want me to give you the money, or you want me to lend you the money so you can go make some money and give me back the money so the money could be there and the land could be there for future behemoths. When you have your leaders who can understand these concepts.
See, Alan, hold on. I don't want us to waste time talking about that.
No, but I'm saying to you, this is fractional. I'm saying to you, if instead of believing their garbage, ask them to apply the same what I just told you to a solar and the value. But now let's go back to what I'm saying to you.
But we spending too much time talking about that.
Right.
What we doing?
I'm saying to people right now.
Right now, it's presenting a very real plan.
Opportunity. You can go to the crowd, fractionalize and tokenize your idea, and raise $1 million up to $5 million right now. Let's say it costs $20,000 in business plan preparation fee, you're raising $5 million. Let's put it at $50,000. You're telling me that 10 of y'all can't get together to raise $5 million by putting up $10,000 each, or 10 of y'all put up $5,000 each to put together your business plan to get on the platform to raise your $5 million.
Some people don't have $5,000, see, Alan. That's unrealistic.
No, I'm saying you, then get 50 of y'all who will each put up $1,000 that y'all will own 1/50 of the hotel. How much, if you go buy 10 shares for Atlantis now, how much percentage of the hotel you own? I'm saying that if you put up your 50 of y'all put up your $1,000, each one of y'all own 2% of the hotel.
But we need to make this understandable for people who don't even have $1,000.
Okay, what I'm saying to you,
the whole point of crowdfunding is that
bring an idea.
If you only have $5, you could get a return. It would not be as big of a return as the person who put in 1,000.
But Michelle, that's two different things. You can have people who don't have that amount of money. See, I want to talk about us owning the platform where people are giving us the money rather than us investing in the platform.
Gotcha.
I'm saying let's create some platform that stands alone, separate from us, that we can now go on the platform that we created to raise the money to build these bed and breakfasts, to raise the money to fund these boats, to raise the money to fund these hotels, and things that right now tourism are taking. And I'm saying to you, we have a unique opportunity right now to find platforms to be created that allows for us right now, today, to fund that boat, to fund those airplanes. And the beauty about it is, government talk about the SBDC, right? The Small Business Development Corporation doing it. They say they don't have the money. We're spending millions of dollars on travel right now. It will cost less than $500,000 to start a platform to give thousands of behemoths right now access to this capital.
If they so desire.
Because the platform will be separate and apart from government, just funded by them and not funded by behemoths, but give behemoths.
And that's why the government is not doing it, because you're talking about empowering behemoths, which they don't want to do.
Right. If behemoths then now says to individuals, right, if you at least know, you're saying to the people, I don't want $100,000. I don't want to wait in 3 years or maybe 8 years when you don't build your reputation to give me anything. I want to be empowered now. It's right now. The global economy is becoming digitized.
Right.
You will become digitized. There's only two people in the future: producers and consumers. Choose your side. There's no choice. You will either produce or you will consume. You will go to work and you will own nothing and you'll be happy. Then there are those who will own everything and they'll be happy.
I
Because
want to encourage everybody who is on this chat who's still talking other things. Go back and watch the show from the beginning, please. Because if you watch it, and the good thing about Facebook is you can watch it again and again and again. So if you don't get it the first time, watch it a second time, watch it a third time, watch it a fourth time. Because you're stuck right now on this one message.
And see, but I'm saying let's talk to those individuals that wants more. All you have to do is develop your idea. Individuals such as myself, who will have a platform, will help you formulate that idea in such a way that it could go, whether if my platform is not there, it could go on some other platform that'll be launched. That you could own your own home, you could own your own bed and breakfast, you could own your own tour boat, you could own your own restaurant. In fact, you could even own your own aircraft to fly between the islands.
Let me just say this, see, Alan. When the idea for Uber first came out, when the idea for Airbnb first came out, there were naysayers who thought, oh, this don't make any sense. This will never work. Nobody's going to take advantage of this. And yet, Airbnb accounts for more heads and beds than any major hotel chain in the world right now. Airbnb is the leading hotel, if you want to call it that, in the world.
But Michelle,
they don't own one building.
No room. They don't own no rooms. They don't own any
rooms.
cars. No, they don't do any of those. But Michelle, here's what
they have
challenge them to
found a way to empower the everyday person.
Which
it's
is
the same
exactly
concept we're talking about on the show.
No, not exactly. Let me say, Michelle, I want people to write down these words: tokenization, $1 trillion economy. I want you to Google this exactly as I say it. Tokenization, $1 trillion economy. Fractionalization, $1 trillion economy. Crowdfunding, $1 trillion economy. Green economy, blue economy, orange economy, ocean economy. All of these are multi-trillion-dollar economy that's just given birth. And every one of those Google results I told you will say by 2030, tokenization will be a multi-trillion-dollar economy. By 2030, fractionalization will be a multi-trillion-dollar economy. These are the Boston Consulting Group, McKinsey Group, BDO, all of these major firms. The companies like BlackRock and all these other major companies are all invested deep into this. While we're talking about cryptocurrency and carbon credits and whatever, these guys are tokenizing, fractionalizing, and crowdfunding to trillions of dollars today. That the ordinary person with rudimentary high school understanding can do the exact same.
You ain't got to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. You ain't got to be a genius to figure it out.
It's a simple mathematical
calculation. It reminds, and again, this is a game changer for the economy. Game changer. This reminds me very much, and I don't think that the technology that we are discussing existed back then, but this reminds me very much of a conversation that I had with Merv Griffin. For those of you who are youngins and don't know who Merv Griffin is, Google him, like y'all like to tell people. But Merv Griffin was one of the original owners of the Paradise Island Hotel that is now known as Atlantis. Merv Griffin was a broadcaster, very popular in the United States, who had attained quite a bit of wealth and decided to invest in things like hotel properties, etc. Merv Griffin is the one who sold the property to Donald Trump. Okay? This is how far back this goes. I was a young reporter, and I had an opportunity to interview Merv Griffin about him acquiring the hotel in Paradise Island. And he said to me, young reporter, very young reporter, he said to me, let me teach you something that you need to take with you for the rest of your life. He said, I'm going to give you this bit of knowledge for free. I said, okay. He says, when it comes to investing and gaining wealth, always use OPM.
Yep.
I said, what is OPM? Other people money.
But Michelle, it's three things they say in that part of that. There's OPM, OPE, and OPI. Other people ideas, other people money, and other people efforts. You don't make wealth working for yourself. You make wealth with other people working for you. OPI, OPE, and OPM.
Or your money working for you, or your house working for you, or your whatever you have in your hand working for you, as opposed to you working for it.
Right. But this is where the number one, you hear people every day on the radio saying, let me give you this good story, Michelle. Listen to this very carefully. Having worked in the banking industry, I work with a credit union, that the first digital credit union in the world, that started with 250,000 in 97 and was sold for 27 million in 2003. One thing I learned is that I hear Behemoth say all the time, banks only lend money for vehicles. And guess what, guys? You actually got something right. What you didn't get right is understanding what a vehicle is. And I want you to listen to this very carefully. An automobile is a vehicle for transportation. A house is a vehicle for home ownership. And a business is a vehicle for wealth. Notice our three lists of vehicles. The problem is when you come into the bank and you say, I want this automobile, I can see it, I can touch it, and I know it acts as a collateral. When you come to me for the house, I can see it, I can touch it, and I know it's a collateral. Do you know what happens? When you don't pay me for that vehicle, I can take you out and put somebody else in it for them to pay me.
You don't own the house. The bank owns the house until you pay the mortgage.
Right. When you don't pay for that house, I can take you out and put somebody else in. Now let's go to the business. You now come in here with this vehicle that you can't describe to me. I can't see it. You call it a business. And then you say the vehicle is also, if you could describe it, the vehicle is you. So I say, Mr. Johnson, if I lend you this money for this business, how can I take you out in case you don't pay me and put somebody else in? What happens if you go home, let's use the Behemoth vernacular, stop to your sweetheart and give her 50,000 this money, your wife find out and you don't wake up? How do I take you out and put somebody else in? The problem is that you've never been taught how to prepare a vehicle, the business plan for this thing called a vehicle, so that you can go to the bank for financing and they can take you out. And because you don't have the skill set, they ask for collateral. So I'm simply saying this changes the whole dynamics.
I want to read a comment. I am not excusing C. Allen in the least. I'm saying, how do we move forward realistically under these two political dinosaurs that have the Bahamas and Bahamians hostage and enslaved? Darren, after watching this whole show, you still asking that question? You clearly didn't get it. The whole point is you don't need them to do this.
You don't need none. You don't need no third party. You don't need a third party. You still saying
talking about PLP and F and M. You ain't get it. You missed the whole point.
Party.
And the last 2 hours we've been talking.
No, because he's locked in and said those two dinosaurs, somebody else will give it to me.
Oh my God.
Their argument is those two dinosaurs not gonna give it to me, somebody else gonna give it to me. I'm saying to you is, unless your political party is talking about emancipating you from them, not saying I will be your better master. I'm saying to you, the gate is open. Walk through the gate and emancipate yourself. Digitization does that. When you hear leadership talk about giving you something based on your loyalty to them, you are designated as a sucker. I'm saying to you, technology, and now we talk about emancipation and self-governance. We are saying to you, technology gives you that ability and it's available today in the Bahamas. And if the FNM, PLP, BCP, DNA, or Coalition of Independents is not speaking the language I just said to you, ignore them all. Because they are inviting you to remain in slavery. And I'm saying to you, Google it. Yes, I want you to do too.
Everyone.
If you have a political leader that has convinced you of something else, I challenge you to have your political leadership engage me one-to-one so I could call them a liar to their face.
Stop. Because people still asking, if we don't have money, where do we start? Please go back and watch the show.
It doesn't take money. Bring an idea.
Didn't listen to the show from the beginning. Clearly, that was obvious.
Michelle,
some of y'all tuning late, and y'all missed the main point of what we've been talking about for the last 2 hours. So my charge to everybody, go back and watch this show. And if you still don't understand, go back and watch it again. Because the whole point of doing this show is to show you don't have to rely on the PLP or the FNM or the DNA or the COI or anybody else to achieve the freedom that you seek. You don't have to wait for them to give you nothing. That's the whole point.
Right. Money and money don't make money. Me and you put 10,000 together, we got 20. Only when money is applied to an idea that it multiplies. Develop your ideas, and those with money will seek you out to multiply it. So I'm saying to you, crowdfunding allows you to present your idea to the crowd, to thousands, if not millions of people, who will then give you the money in small doses till you get to the point where you are, for you to execute that idea, and they will share in the profits, where you keep the majority. So the concept of crowdfunding is for you to develop your idea to enter the market, and the threshold for entering the market is so low that you can find or borrow the money. Literally speaking, it costs you $10,000 to raise the money for a duplex or a fourplex bed and breakfast. $10,000. That's less than your closing costs.
The other time. I realize some people just ain't gonna never get it. Some people just ain't gonna never get it. This is why they say, if you take all the money in the world from the rich people
and spread it equally,
and you give everybody the exact amount of money, within 6 months or less, the rich people will be rich again and the poor people will be poor again. Why? They just don't get it because of this mindset. It's 4 o'clock, we gotta go.
Yes, Michelle, let me say,
if you still believing that you need a political party, if you still thinking that you need some kind of hero to deliver you from these two evil parties, and this hero will come, and your mindset is the problem.
Let me
and
say
the
to
whole
Michelle, to the
2
Security
hours
Commission.
we have done is to help to shake that up and show
Michelle,
you
let me say,
you don't need none of them to get this done. Wake up, people.
Let me make an appeal to the Security Commission. We would love for you to come onto the show, or we would love for you to sponsor the show so we could break it down into smaller parts for them to digest what is it you're trying to do to provide a protective environment for all investors. And we'll be happy to have this conversation with you. Security Commission, maybe we could get this to you somehow. Please, let's talk.
Alan, thank you so much for being here today. And I hope that they will take up the challenge to go watch the show from the beginning and watch it again and watch it again so you could understand what we're trying to tell you.
And Google information.
I keep telling you, stop looking for another hero. Use the brain what you have. There is a better way. But as long as you're looking for a hero and you think you need some kind of hero or political party to deliver you, God help you. You ain't gonna never get it.
Thank you, Michelle.
Stop looking for a hero and start to use the brain that God gave you. That's all we've been saying for the last 2 hours. And if you still asking questions, like some of these questions I see in here, right over your head. Go watch the show from the beginning. And if you still don't get it, well, then go wait for your money. Okay? We got to go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, C. Allen, for being here today. I really appreciate you. Tomorrow is TGIF Open Line, where we're going to talk about the week that was. Until then, it's 4-2. I did overtime. Got to go. Thanks so much for tuning in. Take care, everybody.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests.